Morning. We're going to start things off with a bang here. And Beth's going to love this. She doesn't really know what I'm going to show. She loves this stuff as much as anyone does.
Oh boy.
But she said we were talking outside having our coffee. And we were talking about how they're really stretching. You came up with this, stretching the parameters of what people will actually believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very frustrating to us who are out of it to continue to watch people fall for these things. We go, it's so obvious to us, but then it's really amazing how gullible people have become.
Yeah, and I wonder if I was thinking about someone like Billy Graham. We now see through Billy Graham as well, but at least to the common Christian population in his lifetime, my understanding is he was presented as a very decent, modest man, family man, very serious about sharing the gospel and was successful at it. He wasn't like he wasn't night, what do they call it? Not night lighting, moonlighting as a Chippendales dancer or something on the side, right? Good old Billy Graham. And then Theron was telling me, now once again, I don't follow it at all, but that there's some like sordid past of modeling and reality showing, and I mean,
For Billy Graham?
No, of this latest charade, this woman and her giant fake eyelashes, and it's like, wait, are you on the runway, or are you the devastated, loving wife of this God-fearing man? It's like the show is just getting so ridiculous, and just thought, yeah, how far will people go to keep being like, yes, this is our model, this is the ideal person, right, wife, whatever here.
We've got this book, Billy Graham and Friends, and his friends. And it took some sleuthing out once upon a time to really determine what was going on and be like, oh my gosh, he was doing the Freemason handshake. Oh my gosh, he's friends with all these Freemasons. Oh, all the presidents. And then you start uncovering it. You're like, whoa, you got to be Sherlock Holmes, but you get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
You go, Billy Graham wasn't on the side of actually spreading the gospel. He was actually working for satanic agendas to soften the message and change it little by little till he said some amazingly ecumenical things of all paths, all religions,
all gods,
no need to convert. And people will deny it, even though the words come right out of his mouth. They'll still deny it. But I think it's because they heard too many other things to make them go to drop them. But now they're not convincing people with any real material. It's like the Erica thing it's so it's so obvious.
Sounds like the wholesome facade is completely gone.
Yeah.
And now I know that with Billy Graham, like, he did literally sometimes share the gospel, and I think that mostly fell on which is it, the ground that just gets like choked. It's like good at first, but it gets choked out by the weeds in that parable. I think sadly a lot of it may have gone that way, but were there a few, sure, we realize that, but again, like, the display should right now, I think, shock so many Christians into being like, wait, this can't be our poster child. This is not our
right
following.
Yeah, and this isn't even about Billy Graham. It's just talking about the difference between, that generation had that. Look at what our generation has. It's so insane. And then another little bit of language that I've seen has been changing is being radicalized. Okay, so they're talking about how the shooter, of course, it wasn't the shooter even, but how he was almost a victim of those who radicalized him. Okay, now this will make you think of Islam and terrorists. Is like, who radicalized them? Who are the actual bad people behind all this? Because of course they need to limit free speech. They can't have Bethany and I talking about this stuff. We are radicalizers for calling out the lies. Okay. Oh, and then it's like, that's the enemy. It's not even who does the thing, which it's so much theater, so many layers of theater.
If he had done it, but
But it's to make the masses believe in this idea of being radicalized. And again, some of the stuff I'm saying, it's not even that we're saying. It's not even like, let's say Janet Mills actually a transgender. Be like, wow, you can't say something like that. I pulled up this article because I just wanted to prove Donald Trump confuses Janet Mills' gender on rambling call to Maine supporters. Okay, so on this thing, made a string of false statements on Monday call to Maine supporters during which he repeatedly referred to Governor Janet Mills as he. Okay, he wasn't confused. He didn't do this mistakenly. Okay, have you ever in your life done this by accident? Okay, this is a governor of Maine. Okay, Donald Trump did not make a mistake. He did this purposefully. Janet Mills is a man. We don't have to wonder about that. Look at this. This is merely a man with a wig on, and as they get older, they get uglier and uglier. And am I radicalizing people to point it out? No. The president of the United States called this transgender person he the entire time. Okay. Now I pointed this out to a lot of people to be like, hey, our own president is confirming these things. Speaking of that, I wanted to do a thing about what just happened with vaccines and the president, because nobody's covering this that I've seen the way it should be covered, and I just want to talk about that. But first, along with our governor, we also have a senator. I want to show you a picture of our senator. See if you can see what I'm saying. Okay, so this is Senator Susan Collins right here, and tell me if you think this person is aging well. And
well.
Yeah. Now, I realize that as old people get old, they all start looking like they all start looking the same. But again, look at the size of these. Look at these man hands. Those are big hands, and this just isn't a woman, in my opinion. So we've got this transgender thing going on everywhere in politics, and we've seen that, we've noticed that. But then, for the people that are tempted to believe Erica is actually the grieving wife, it's like she was Miss America or Miss Arizona, and even went into the Miss America pageants. Is on reality TV shows, and at first I was like, no, this can't be. And she really was part of reality TV. And so now it's like, we're not even going out on a limb here saying she's well, we know these reality shows aren't even reality. And we've got her on these shows dating or talking to these guys. Let me play you a clip of this. Well, Beth wouldn't let me play that other clip.
Oh, no, wouldn't let you.
No, she said let's not dive into the stupid. But she's on a reality show, and it's so vapid and so dumb that you just got to point it out, because it's like, yeah, some people are seriously grieving this thing when besides all the other things that don't add up, you've got her with her past on reality shows, and they're not even doing a good job anymore with this stuff. Mm-hmm. So now this is something. You got something to say?
Well, that reminded me of, you may not want to delve into this right now, but we were talking about our correct response as believers to government right now, and talking about knowing where we are in the timeline, how much that changes what our response should be to those governing us. And we're remembering times in the past where verses from the Bible were used to say we've got to be like supporting the government, basically.
Yeah, I think it was in Peter. He's saying that, honor all these governors, the king, because they've been put there for God. God is using them. And here's the thing, that was to a certain people, to a certain time, that was true. You don't just insert that to anybody.
Right.
You don't just then just say, hey, that applies to everybody over all the courses of time. If you're reading it, it applies to you. That's faulty logic. That's the same thing. I was like, bring me my coat because I'm cold, because Paul is cold. Okay, we go bring him his coat. Go get a coat and just take it to him. Okay, that same sort of like, no, he's dead and gone. It's like, yeah, exactly. And that audience that read these things, they're not still waiting for this stuff. So
right. I even wonder, there's a verse somewhere about kings like being ordained by God, or or not ordained by God, but that they didn't, become rulers by happenstance, and therefore, even if they aren't good, people say, yeah, still respect them and play along and whatever. But then I wonder if that even applies during this little season.
Well, yeah.
Satan's release.
If the little season was like, hey, when Satan's released to deceive the world, still honor the kings and those that govern over you. Okay, still honor the people that are the ones leading the charge on the lies. You go, oh, well, that's odd. Okay, so I guess we got to do that. Yeah. But that's not what it says, right? When Satan's released to deceive the world, we have a very Jobish type responses. No matter what kind of confusing things are happening around us, we cling to the faith in our God in this time. That's it. And we don't
align with anything else.
Don't align with anything else. Now, the time they start calling out the little season and all these people trans and like, oh, this was my example that I thought. Imagine a world that would have okay, so like, let's say 20 years ago, you're going to say that the Title IX thing that made, well, like in the 1970s, I think they passed the Title IX with women's sports. Mm-hmm. And if you told them in the 70s or 80s, a little while ago, that someday they were going to allow men to pretend to be women, even beat up on women, hurt women, take women's places in sports, and that the government was going to do this, you would have a revolt, right? But because the water's warmed up so slowly to this fake year 2025, that these things that they're doing, like they calculate how much they can push us and get away with it without revolt, without a mass, like, no freaking way are we going to put up with this. And as they inch us along, if only those people could be aroused and see how bad it is, see how obscene it is. Because we're saying, okay, they're stretching people to be like, you're going to believe the theatrics of an assassination now. Like, it's not even good Hollywood. It's just like, she is a terrible actress as she's pretending to grieve. And now you're also believing that they're seriously considering whether children should be able to have hormones changed and surgeries done to change their genders. Like, we're seriously like in support of this government. And I know you'd say, oh, well, Trump's actually defending us from these things. Okay. He gives that little bit to satisfy people, even as it's all inching in the wrong not inching, as they're marching down the wrong way. He'll throw out little carrots, little things to keep people quiet, because at least he's not as bad as the left. Okay? Well, the left is the extreme steaming pile of crap that all we have to do is smell worse or a little less worse than them, and people are happy. That's how they're marching this through.
And just put the right keywords into. I mean, actually, I kind of think that of even what you're about to show, that it just is enough to appease people a little bit and think there's an ounce of goodness there.
Yeah. And, you know, here's a second thing that I could be accused of radicalizing people. And again, I know you guys are always rad. You guys are already rad, okay? But I'm just repeating what the president is saying. And I've been saying this for years now. Now, what I find really wild about this is ask anyone what Trump said about the cause of autism in this country, and what are they going to say? Tylenol. It's what everyone's going to say, because nobody's actually watched this 10-minute clip about what Trump actually says. Almost nobody has watched it.
And that's part of the magic, though, too, is even if they have, the keyword he says the most and even draws attention to it by saying it incorrectly and stuff is acetaminophen. But as you're going to point out, he says a lot more.
He says, he says it's vaccines. Okay? Trump right now says it's vaccines. What is the media going to say? It's Tylenol. Tylenol, and they're going to sweep that under the rug, say, hey, stop taking Tylenol, fine, we can deal with that. We can still keep poisoning the children. But that's not what Trump says. Okay? It's like, we got to get rid of the mercury, we got to get rid of the aluminum, we've got to get these things out, the formaldehyde, we got to get that out of the vaccines. Okay, I'll play you that clip. And you're like, whoops, how did this stuff sneak in there? We got to get it out. You should go, wait, are you saying it's in there currently? Like, you're saying formaldehyde, aluminum is in the vaccines, and that Trump here, oh, smart Trump is going to get those scientists to take it out of there. What is that doing in there anyhow? Okay, this is what happens. Okay, this is where you should see through this circus. What do you call that? A bunch of guys pretending.
It's
got a
marionettes.
Name. Marionettes. Oh, yeah. Just okay. So first, he's gonna. I'll just play a few clips here.
Anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. So that's not a long time. And I've always heard, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that. It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31, but in some areas it's much worse than that, if you can believe it, 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California, where they have, for some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And now we're at the level of 1 in 12 in some cases for boys, 1 in 31 overall. So since 2000, autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation. And the first day all of these great doctors behind me were there, I told them, this is what we have to find out. Because when you go from 20,000 to 10,000, and then you go to 12, there's something artificial. They're taking something. And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently, is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest that, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, yeah, virtually. I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups. The Amish, as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA.
Okay, so right there, Trump's saying vaccines. Amish don't get vaccines; they don't have autism.
He says pills and things, like you just pointed out. He kind of he muddies it a little bit, but he's still saying it.
Right, but my point is no media will cover the fact that he's including vaccines in this cause. Okay, now that's not the only time. He does it over and over, talking about vaccines. He goes on to Tylenol. He can't even. There's like, I don't know. He talks about acetaminophen for a little while, and then he but then right back to vaccines. So I'll play some more of this. But
yeah, and then he kind of says like, at least spread them out or something like. But it's there. But what drives me crazy is he says it enough that people like us are like, oh my gosh, she's actually saying this.
Yeah.
But then the media can easily ignore it, and even if someone was really pro-vaccine and heard this, I don't think they'd be like terribly offended. They'd just be like, oh yeah, that's why there's age regulations on the COVID vaccine. And
well,
like,
I think
that's what makes me like so nuts. Is it's this perfectly woven jargon.
Yeah, well, it's perfectly woven because they get the guy to say it so that half the country on its face believes it's lies. The left, the right isn't. They don't cover it, so they don't even hear it. You just go, oh my gosh. I mean, they're saying that the left is going to double up on Tylenol now, just because Trump says it's causes. And you go, well, that's not even what he said. You should double up on your vaccines if you really want to get a double dose of this stuff of autistic children. But listen to those stats. I do believe those are true.
But you know what's crazy too about acetaminophen? In my own pregnancy history, they would tell you that if you have to take a painkiller after birth, take Tylenol, not ibuprofen.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going to come through the breast milk, you know?
Tylenol, yeah, that's right. So listen to that. That is like the opposite of do no harm. The Hippocratic Oath is they're actually doing harm. So is the Hippocratic Oath even being obeyed in any way? It's like no. I mean, it's actually most harm done imaginable. Trump, let's get rid of that formaldehyde in the vaccines. Like, yeah, why didn't you do that before?
Well, and what about everything else?
Well, yeah, what about everything else?
Yeah.
But what was I going to say before you?
Sorry, I keep peppering in distracting comments.
Oh, here it is. He says something really good. Instead of vilifying those who are trying to find the cause, Kennedy did this hearing, and they tore him a new butthole for trying to figure out what was causing autism, right? Mm-hmm. He goes on to say that there's countless completely futile studies on genetic factors for why, acting like people are just our genetics are now creating autism. Like, oh, we were just that wrong combination of blood type or something, and it was a genetic factor that made autism instead of like being poisoned. And he says there's nothing to the genetic sort of like why we're just getting autistic. It's all, and so Congress, everyone wants to push the genetic because it's stupid. It's like there's no answers there. When what they're finding is like, what about these other influences that are coming in? And so they get demonized for trying that. When you see how bad the numbers are, 1 in 31, 1 in 12, you go, well, that's insane. That's insane stuff. You would think everything would be full stop, but all vaccines on hold, all medicines on hold till we find out what is killing us. What's giving us autism. But instead, look at this world. Look at this insane world. If you don't think this world is full of actors, like, how is it that we're so alarmed and the media, it wants us to look at Charlie Kirk right now and Turning Point USA. Right? What? Okay, we're talking about one guy that was fake assassinated. One guy. When we have 1 in 12 now being autistic, are going to have a totally weird life. My sister has a very autistic daughter. Their lives are forever difficult because of this. And it's one of these things where my sister knows but doesn't. She says, I can't live in the world where I think people purposely did that. And I go, I get it. But we have so many parents that are have these massively difficult lives because of autism. And they want you to talk about Charlie Kirk, right?
Well, that feeling of overwhelm and basically being like, I can't consider that, I can't live in that, and I get that a little bit, even with what we deal with in our life.
Yeah.
Is that you've got to somehow remain sane, and to understand that there's such evil around us is completely overwhelming. And how do we go on, knowing that? So I get it a little bit, that like it's difficult to be in the position of recognizing the evil and calling it out and being powerless, essentially. There is no path to fighting that fact once you know it, right? We have to like sit on that information.
Until everyone's incensed by this, there's not, what do we do? Okay, we're one of 1 in 1,000 that sees the world like this. Okay, what do 2 people in 1,000 do? Is like we do this, but what is it? What happens when there's more? Half the population is like, well, gets what's actually going on. That changes things, but and again, that's why we do this.
And I think it does help put up a wall against other things that would pull at you. So though you can't walk around constantly contemplating this evil and still remain sane, we also aren't taken with the other waves of the sea, like this Kirk stuff, and we can kind of be free of that emotional and psychological manipulation, which I think you have the overwhelm of the evil, but you have the relief of not getting taken with those things and knowing all we truly have,
right.
Being like, that is our only security, and we know that, and we're not going to say, oh, here's our hope over here, here's our hope over here. No.
Can you pull up that James 1 verse 5?
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody who has lost their faith, and they said to me that right now they're okay in the sea of unknowingness. And the way they described it, I was like, oh, that's an interesting sort of position, is to say, admit that they're in the sea. And of course, if you read the Bible enough, you realize what the sea is always associated with. But let me read James 1 through 5. No, verse 5. Yeah, you got it. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Unstable.
So what we have is the sea. This is the bad version of it, is to be in the sea and to be tossed about by every wind and doctrine, not have any ability. How do we know some of these things? Is because we know we're in a little season, because we prayed for wisdom, because we believe the Bible. We've taken Jesus's words to mean exactly what he said, what he said. We go, oh no, he's not a liar. He absolutely returned to the generation he said. After we set those foundation stones, we can build a world where we go, yeah, there's this season after the 1,000-year reign, Satan's deceiving the world, and here we are. Here we find ourselves in the midst of that. So we're not tossed about by this in the sea. We don't fall for the Charlie Kirks. We learn to dig out of the Billy Grahams, and we say, oh my gosh, like this is how bad, this is how they work. This is the theater that we're surrounded by. And oh, by the way, the medical community is full of the deceivers. And I'm not crazy to say it, because now look at the president is saying the things that we've said. We've been silenced on. We've got videos taken down because we mentioned vaccines. Now look at what the president is saying about vaccines. I'm going to play a couple more clips.
go ahead.
Okay, so here Trump, he transitions from acetaminophen to vaccines. Listen to this.
You shouldn't give a Tylenol to that child. All pregnant women should talk to their doctors for more information about limiting the use of this medication while pregnant. So ideally, you don't take it at all. But if you can't tough it out, if there's a problem, you're going to end up doing it. The other thing that I can tell you that I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, but I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times, but you take it in smaller doses and you spread it out over a period of years. And they pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies. It's a disgrace. I don't see it. I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little child, little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in. So ideally, a woman won't take Tylenol. And on the vaccines.
Do you see what he weaved in there? A vat of 80 different vaccines. So he's no joker, right? This is masterful stuff.
Yeah.
He was taking shots. Nobody takes shots of Tylenol, by the way.
Yeah, he starts saying shots, and then 4 or 5 times what? Like, what is he saying?
Do you guys realize he's saying break up they want that baby to be pumped full of 5 different vaccines. He's saying break them up, right? First he's just saying break them up. He's not talking about Tylenol anymore, guys. He's talking about the vat, and it's just like horses into those poor, beautiful babies. Then he's like, don't take acetaminophen.
Yeah, so you hear the different words, I think, depending on what you believe. And that's what scares me. You literally hear different things.
But I mean, the reality, he's talking about vaccines right there.
Yeah.
80 different, you don't have 80 different shots of Tylenol by the time you're 80. You have 80 vaccines by the time you're 18. Yeah, they say that children have more vaccines by the time they're 6 months than any 35-year-old adult or older
for their life.
For the entire life, right? So they're pumping this stuff in at a rate that why are the adults so healthy? They haven't been vaxxed like this. Why are the children all autistic? Because they've been vaxxed. That's why we got the 1 in 31. That's why we have it. Here's the president saying, you shouldn't even get it. What the doctors are saying, he's saying split it up, but listen to more. He's saying, let's get rid of all the shitty stuff in them.
Yeah, but you can't split them up. Okay, you try to go, nobody has them split up. If you try and special order them, they won't be covered, even if you could get your doctor to try to order them. My friend did this because her family has a bleeding disorder, and she still believes the medical world enough that she's like, okay, we just have this special thing, so we need to spread them out and split them up. And it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
To get that done. Now, this was years ago. This was like 10 years ago.
So listen to that. You can't even do what the president
what he's saying
is advising.
If you could hear it from what he was advising.
If you could even hear that's what he's saying. You know, how nuts is this? Okay, let me get the part where he says take out all the crap.
Terrible. I also and we've already done this. We want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and all the 3 should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate. The chicken pox is already separate, because when that got mixed in, I guess they made it 4 for a while, it really was bad. So they make...
All right, can you even take mumps, rubella, and measles? Can you take those separately?
No, you can't get these things.
The MMR.
And then...
or the mumps,
and
measles,
then as
rubella.
if that's actually the solution. So again, he's calling out something, but then he's presenting a solution that's impossible / doesn't actually help because you're still putting this stuff in your body.
Right. You're still doing the 80 vaccines by the time you're 18, right? This is the reason, like, you go, what is this clown world? Like, how is it that our president's saying stuff that you can't even do medically? And, Kennedy says some stuff too, but that's all I'll play. Go watch. It's 10 minutes. Okay. He's not attributing the autism epidemic to acetaminophen alone. He is saying it's vaccines and acetaminophen.
Well, and there are multiple causes.
Absolutely. I'm not saying take Tylenol by any stretch.
No, but like our niece didn't have vaccines.
Oh yeah, but she.
So I'm saying there are other causes.
Yes, but Tylenol. Yeah.
And possibly in her mother, or there's lots of different things, and we know there are poisons coming from many, many directions. Yeah.
She got a flu shot while she was pregnant, so she did have vaccines. So when you say that, people go, "Oh, look at that." No, that's. But I didn't want to say that. But now that you said she didn't have a vaccine, I'm going, well, yeah, but she was attached to somebody who did.
Well, okay.
Okay, whatever.
I'm saying there's evidence of lots of different things in our world that are poisoning people.
Yes.
And I wish we could point at one thing and one cause, but we can't.
Well, but here's where this you go. What did Trump just say? What did Kennedy say? Hey, let's look at a group of people that doesn't do any of these things. Let's see how they're doing. How are they faring? Well, they're pretty healthy. Do they have a lot of birth defects? Do they have a lot of miscarriages? Do they have diabetes? Do they have any of these things? And we go, oh no, they have a fraction of the amount. And it's probably from people who have become Amish and carrying these things in with them. But the Amish themselves are showing us we don't need every vaccine under the sun. There's this great article I want to read about vaccinations. Let me do that. Okay. Wondering how many parents walk around daily concerned about their child contracting leprosy. It still exists by the thousands in various parts of the world. The United States has roughly 200 cases every year. Did you know that? I didn't until I looked it up. Don't you think it's weird that there was hysteria over 140 measles cases where no one died or was permanently harmed, and you hear exactly zero about 200 cases of leprosy? Everyone knows when there is a measles outbreak. It's all over the local news here and there, and 3 cases of chickenpox in LA. Okay, so this you can go on to read this, but it's saying there are hundreds of infectious diseases out there. They only get us to care about the ones that they have vaccines for. So then they go on to list these things. Look at all these. Okay, we are not vaccinated against all of these things that you can look forward to getting because you don't have a vaccine for, or it can go right back to where it was in your life as you didn't give a crap. You didn't give a rat's butt because you've never heard of them, even though they're around.
Or you just consider it had AIDS up there. It's just like, oh, that's just, can't be helped.
Okay, here's the rest of that. Plus thousands of other infectious diseases that begin with the letters D through Z. So anyhow, there's only fear-mongering that gets us to care about the few 80, I guess, or some of them are in multiples, diseases that we could move or that we could contract, even though there's way more than that. So if you want to be scared about people being unvaccinated, then you really should be scared of your own self, because there's plenty of them that you can't be vaccinated against. So you might as well just go live like a hermit somewhere.
Sure, but as you say this is also within the realm of people who are being intentional and thoughtful about these things. Intentional parenting, it's a big keyword. Think of how many people don't even have the time or space or emotions to even consider these things. It's like, you got to go to school. You got to get your shots. I mean, they have this so well planned. You can't do anything without these.
Right.
So they're trying to make it that way. And how many parents can be like, well, if we don't want these, I guess one of us will stay home with you. It's not even a consideration.
Yeah, at this point, there's not really options for people. I see that. It's well, I mean, unless you're going to be extreme, unless you're going to be radicalized, are you going to get radicalized?
Well, there are options, but they require great sacrifice, and people don't realize they could do it. And
right, so many times people are like, "Oh, we can never live like you," and most of the time, I think you probably could. There are some times where I think the shite of this world has taken a toll so much that you are single parent and you are up shit creek and you do have to work a job and take care of your kids. Those people I so sorry for.
And you're in huge debt, and there's no
right. Yeah, you've made a string of decisions that have led you to the prison that you're in. Some of them I wouldn't even say it's your life.
Not even their fault.
Not even
if
their
people,
fault.
think about people who have to do it for their spouse or their ex-spouse.
Right.
And they're trapped that way.
Yeah.
So there certainly are the traps out there, but I think plenty of people who could figure out a way really don't even
often don't think.
it.
Yeah. Like, okay, here's a really weird example. We barefoot hike all the time. We go up Mount Katahdin barefoot, our whole family. And pretty much we don't pass anybody that doesn't comment in some way. And this refrain, I could never do that. I could never do that. I remember the first time I went hiking and saw those girls hiking barefoot. Mm-hmm. I thought, I could never do that.
And you did have kind of baby feet.
I do have baby feet. And I was like, oh man, my feet are so tender. I don't know. I need big boots, right? And then I tried it. And I was like, oh, but I was fine to walk 5 miles that very first time.
First we started doing walks.
Well, we toughened up our feet
out
here in the driveway. But what I'm amazed by is now every spring, once it's warm enough, we do barefoot hike. I'm ready to go. Everyone can do it, but everyone thinks they can't do it. That's my point. Everybody can do it. Now you probably are like, no, I couldn't do it. That's only because you haven't tried. And I'm not saying walk on some, broken glass, gravel road, and that's going to be fun. I'm saying a trail through the woods is very easy to walk barefoot on. Only people don't actually try it. Mm-hmm. They don't actually try it. Once you do, you talk less, you look down more, you're very careful, but you'll find you can do it. It just takes a lot of other things. You can't look at your phone. You can't not pay attention. You can't sort of clumsily, like, you're not like that. You're very much like, that's where my foot goes. That's where my foot goes. That's where my foot goes. And the whole time, it's almost like a video game. You're like, and then you start to really like it, and you see that your body can move differently because your foot, you can feel what you're on, and you can conform to it, and then you can use your knees in different ways, and you go, oh wow, I can actually do this.
And a lot of exercise physiology people say that's better because then you're using your muscles and intentionally, controlling your body instead of clotting and
instead of jarring your joints.
Yeah.
Okay, especially when you hike downhill barefoot, it's a lot harder because you can't just go clunk, 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 clunk. You're just always delicate because your feet don't support clunk, 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 nor should your joints have to carry your weight going like this all the time. Now I'm talking about barefoot hiking. But
getting all excited.
My point is, often you say I could never do that when you really could. When you really could. Mm-hmm. When you really could homeschool. And I do think God does make a way for us to survive in this world, even when their shite gets visited down on our heads. I think we still can make it.
And interestingly, it's even legal, which is, well, I mean, what do you make of that? Some countries it's illegal, but it's still legal here.
Right, like with those Germans we were talking to, it's just you can't do it. I don't know.
It's interesting.
I don't know about that.
Some people would say there are some decent roots way back in our past, right? That could still come through and protect us, some of these things. In our government, as opposed to others. I don't know.
Well, like the Catholic Church, I think there is the memory, the echo, the basis, maybe the structure of some things that were during the millennial reign, maybe group worship group. I don't want to say church because I don't believe that that building was a church, but um, I think they've stolen some things that were good during the millennial reign and then added a lot of the Pope and the corruption and a lot of stuff, and suppressed information through Jesuits, through the catacombs, and all the stuff that they're like hiding. I think the same thing is possibly with our government. Is there are some good laws that God is holding in place to allow us to have the freedom. And I'm not thinking the founding fathers by any stretch of the imagination. Those are all stories. But I think what's there, what's written, are good things for us. And as long as they're upheld, we can continue to have free speech. Like, look at what's happening right now. We should be able to voice our concerns against the government. We should be able to do that. We should have free speech to do that.
And actually, we have being not monetized and being is only when it was with the medical stuff that they got completely removed, right?
Right,
We've gotten
right,
flagged for different things, but
yeah, but this is now there's medical stuff. I'm just saying what Trump's saying, right? Now actually I'm just saying, hey, look what Trump's saying. Look, let's get rid of that mercury out of there. Dang it! How did that slip in again? How did that slip in?
I know.
Guys, it was a big mistake. We're just this big clumsy group of people that what we should have kept our plants a little bit cleaner. How'd that mercury drip off of the wrong place and get in? Like, what is he like? Are you kidding me? We're gonna take these guys seriously when they just mistakenly put some of this stuff in there. What do you got? Read something.
You want this? You want these? This jumped out at me from Proverbs 24 the other night.
Yeah.
He that saith unto the wicked, Thou art righteous, him shall the people curse, nations shall abhor him. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. So what I got from that was that it's okay to rebuke the wicked. It's actually good.
Imagine the little season without people rebuking wicked things.
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't have to imagine too much. There's not many of us that are rebuking this stuff. Most are believing it and going along with it. Yeah. So our time has come to an end. Let me just check my notes.
Okay.
Well, I won't go into this. My notes only had this. We've been watching The Bourne Identity again. I don't know. It's just something I got 5 boys and they like this stuff. And but we've known that the actress is a dude. But as you watch the movie, it's just now that you know and you see it over and over, you go, oh, you're just like, it makes you go, like just the whole time. But, I think I may have been wrong because the AI overview said, no, Frank Potente is not a man. So there you go. I was wrong. So anyhow, if you got to watch the movie because at times she looks like a woman, but at times you go, oh, no, that's not right. Right. And why do I do this? I do this for a few people that really love this stuff. And and I do this because it's so bad. This whole world is not, it's not just a little bit, you may see a little, it's just the tip of the iceberg, because realize that this is throughout the world. Hollywood always inverts and gives us these things where we are watching movies that are, besides that, it's a pretty fun movie to watch. It's pretty entertaining. I like the whole series. But why? Like I kept going like, why can't they just have a woman? That would make this movie really fun. But instead, you just have to cringe the whole time. And again, they get pleasure out of this. Once you see that this gender inversion is like Satan's, it's his happy place. I don't know what kind of jollies, I don't know how he gets jollies out of it, but he does. to do this kind of thing. The Statue of Liberty, or man or woman, like you just go, that's their thing. That's why this transgender thing's so alive and well. So anyhow, I'm glad Beth's not here. She said, don't talk about this stuff. People think you're crazy. Well, too late, I guess. That's it.